Excel, GCSE, Mathematics, Paper 2 Calculator Foundation Tier, June 2012. At the start of the exam, I would write down any formulas that you think you'll need to remember during it. So I'm going to write down the formula for the area of a triangle, which is the base times by the height divided by 2. I'm also going to write down the formula for the area of a circle, which is pi times the radius squared, and the formula for the circumference of a circle, which is pi times by diameter. You may choose to write down other formulas or other pieces of information. Make sure you write them down. A minute spent at the start of the exam will pay dividends later on. On question 1, I'm asked to write the number 4,216 in figures. So that would be 4,216. In 1b, I'm asked to write down the value of the 8 in the number 78,561. So the 8 is either 8,000, or I can write that in words as 8,000. It is important that I write the 8 here and not just 1,000. In 1c, I'm asked to write down the number 3,568 to the nearest 10. So I'm going to draw a quick number line with 3,560, which is the 10 underneath this number, and 3,570, which is the 10 above this number. In the middle, there would be 3,565, and therefore my number, 3,568, is round about there, and therefore that is closer to 3,570. On question 1, I'm asked to write the number 4,216 in figures. So that would be 4,216. In 1b, I'm asked to write down the value of the 8 in the number 78,561. So the 8 is either 8,000, or I can write that in words as 8,000. It is important that I write the 8 here and not just 1,000. In 1c, I'm asked to write down the number 3,568 to the nearest 10. So I'm going to draw a quick number line with 3,560, which is the 10 underneath this number, and 3,570, which is the 10 above this number. In the middle, there would be 3,565, and therefore my number, 3,568, is round about there, and therefore that is closer to 3,570. On question 2, I'm asked to write down the name of each of the 3D shapes. So the first one would be a cuboid, and the second one would have a square on the bottom, so that would be a square-based pyramid. On question 3, I'm shown a pictogram that details the number of DVDs sold in a shop, and I'm given a key here that tells me that each circle represents 8 DVDs. So in part A, I'm asked to write down the number of DVDs sold on Monday. So on Monday I have 8 here, another 8 here, and another 8 here. So in total, I would have 24. Part B, I'm asked to write down the number of DVDs sold on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, this represents 8, and this part of the circle here represents 2, as it is 1/4 of the circle. So in total, I've sold 10 DVDs on Wednesday. In part C, I'm told that 16 DVDs were sold on Thursday here, and I'm asked to complete the pictogram. So one circle would be 8, second circle would be another 8, and that would give me a total of 16. I'm also told that 28 DVDs were sold on Friday. So one circle would give me 8, another circle would give me 16, another circle would give me 24, and I need another 4, so half of a circle to get me 28. On question 4, I'm told that Jalin has a £10 note to spend on stickers, and that a packet of stickers costs 79p. I'm told also that he buys as many packets of stickers as possible, and I'm asked to work out how much change he should get. So a couple of ways of doing this question. I can either take the £10 and turn it into pence, so that would be 1,000 pence, and then do 1,000 divided by 79. Now, as this is a calculator exam, I can do that on my calculator. So 1,000 divided by 79 is 12.658 and a few more numbers. So I'm going to write the whole number down here, 12.65822,785. Now, obviously, if this is the amount of packets, I'm going to have to work out how many whole packets he could buy. So that would be 12 whole packets. Now, if I buy 12 whole packets, I will have spent 12 lots of 79 pence. So 12 lots of 79 pence. And again, I'm going to do that on my calculator. So 12 times 79 is 948 pence. And finally, I'll make sure I answer the question. It asked me how much change you should get. So I started with 1,000 pence, and I'm going to subtract 948 pence. So I'm going to do 1,000 pence, take away 948 pence, and that's going to be 52p. And again, if you're not sure, on your calculator, 1,000 take away 948 is 52 pence. Now, I've seen a number of people attempt this question by working out how many packets of stickers he could buy by working their way up. So if he bought 10 packets at 79 pence, that would be 790 pence. And then continuing to go on by adding on 79p, so 11 packets at 79 pence would be 11 times by 79, 869 pence, or 12 times by 79p would be 948. And then if you tried an additional packet, that would be 13 packets, so 13 times by 79 pence would be 1,027, and we can see that that is too much. Okay, so however we get to it, we need to work out that what we need is 12 packets and a total of 948 pence spent, and then I can work out the change. On question 5, I'm shown a square and a trapezium, and I'm asked to write down the size of each angle of the square. So each angle of the square will be this here, and I know that's a right angle, and that's 90 degrees. In part B, I'm asked to mark with the letter O an obtuse angle. Now, an obtuse angle is more than 90 degrees, but less than a straight line at 180 degrees. So what I'm looking for is this angle in here, and I'm going to mark that with an O. In part C, I'm told that two lines are perpendicular, and I'm asked to mark them with the letter P. So I'm looking for two perpendicular lines in this diagram. Now, perpendicular lines cross at right angles. So I could have these two lines here. Those are perpendicular, so I'm going to mark that one and that one there with a P. In question 6, I'm told that I need to simplify C, add C, add C, and that would be 3 lots of C or 3C. In 6b, I'm asked to simplify 2e times 3f, so that would be 2 times e times 3 times f. And I can rewrite that as 2 times 3 with the numbers first, times e times f. And that can be simplified to 2 times 3, which is 6. E times f is ef, and there are no multipliers in my answer. In 6 part C, I'm asked to simplify 9p, add 2t, take away 2p, add 3t. So first of all, I'm going to put the terms that go together and write them out separately. So I've got 9p, take away 2p. and that would be 7p. So that's the first part of my answer. But I've also got add 2t, add 3t. So I've got add 2t, add 3t. Noticing that I include the signs in front of each term. So adding 2t and adding 3t would be the same as adding 5t. So I've got 7p, add 5t. On question 7, I'm given a shape and I'm asked to draw on all the lines of symmetry. So I can see that there is a line of symmetry straight down the middle, and there is also a line of symmetry across the middle horizontally. Now the temptation here would be to place lines of symmetry on diagonally. That's wrong. Okay, there are no diagonal lines of symmetry on this shape. They would be wrong. Okay, so I'm just looking for the blue lines here, and if you're not sure, as ever, you can take your piece of tracing paper and very quickly trace the shape. And if I'm saying there's a line of symmetry going diagonally, I should be able to fold that along that line of symmetry, and the shape should match either side. And I can see, even by doing it roughly, I can see that that shape and the shape underneath, which is now here, don't line up. So I'm just looking for the two blue lines. In part B, I'm shown a regular hexagon, and I'm asked to write down the order of rotational symmetry of this regular hexagon. So again, I'm going to take my piece of tracing paper, and I'm going to trace my hexagon. And I'm going to mark on a line straight up at north, and I'm going to place my pen in the middle, and I'm going to spin it round, and every time it looks the same, that will be 1, 2, I'm going to count 3, 4, 5, and 6, and I do count the final one when I get back round to where I started. So the order of rotational symmetry is 6. In question 8, I'm shown a shaded shape on a grid of centimetre squares, and I'm asked to find the perimeter of the shaded shape. And to do that, I'm going to count the outside of the shape, but not squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So that is 24 centimetres, and they've already given my units. And it's worth crossing them off as you go around so you don't lose count. If you want, you could write the distances next to each side, so 4 there, another 8 along here, 2 here, 5 here, 2 here, and 3 here, and then add those up to check. That's up to you. In 8b, I'm asked to find the area of the shaded shape, and the area is the number of squares on the inside. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, keeping going, writing the numbers in the squares to make sure I don't accidentally lose count in an exam. And therefore my area is 22 centimetres squared. In number 9, I'm given some information about 5 printers, and the names are shown down the left hand side. And in part A, I'm asked which printer costs the most. So just by looking down the cost column, I can see that the most expensive printer is the one that costs £285, which is the Canon. So I need to write down the name of the printer, not the cost, because it says which printer. Make sure you answer the question. Part B, again, it says which printers, so I'm looking for 2 answers, do not have Wi-Fi. So again, I'm going to come down the Wi-Fi column, and I can see that this one here doesn't have Wi-Fi, and therefore I'm going to write down Office. And as it said printers, I know I'm looking for more than one. So again, in the Wi-Fi column, nothing there. So Quick Print. So Office and Quick Print. In part C, I've said which printer has a printing cost page of 4p. So printing cost per page, I've got this one here as 4p, which is the Smart, and this one here is 4p, which is the Elton. And I'm also asked, can print from a camera. So the ones that can print from the camera, of those two, is only this one, as this one here can't print from a camera. So my answer there would be a smart printer. In question 10, I'm asked to work out the size of angle X, and I'm shown a diagram here now. In the middle of this diagram is a point, and therefore I'm going to use the angle fact that there are 360 degrees at a point. So to work out the size of angle X, I'm going to do 140, and I'm going to add on 60, 200, and then I'm going to take that away from 360. So 160 degrees. And again, as this is a calculator paper, I could have done all of this on my calculator. Part 2, I'm told to give a reason for your answer, and that is simply what I've used here. I'm going to write that there are 360 degrees at a point. On question 11, I'm asked to write down the time shown on this clock. And the hour hand, which is the shorthand, is in between 10 and 11. So this is after 10, but before 11. So my time is sometime after 10. The minute hand is pointing directly at 6, and that would be in my 5 times table, 0, 5, 10, working my way around, 30 minutes past the hour, so that would be 10:30. In part B, I'm asked to write the time 4:10 using the 24-hour clock. So I need to take 4:10 and add on to that 12 hours, as it is using the 24-hour clock, and it is PM. So if I add 12 hours onto 4:10, I'm going to get 16:10. Notice here, there is no AM, there is no PM. If I put either of those in, that would be wrong. In 11C, I'm told that Ed goes to the gym on his way to work, and he takes 15 minutes to walk from his home to the gym. He's going to be at the gym for 1 hour, and then he's going to take 10 minutes to walk from the gym to work. And he needs to be at work at 8:15. So what is the latest time he can leave home? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a number line, and he needs to be at work at 8:15, so that's my latest time. And I'm going to work backwards from 8:15 using these times. And the times I've got are 15 minutes, 1 hour, and 10 minutes. And it doesn't matter in what order I use these times, as long as I use these 3. Well, the first one I'm going to use is it starts at 8:15. I'm going to use the 15 minutes here to jump backwards 15 minutes. And if I jump backwards 15 minutes, that will take me to 8 o'clock. And then as I'm 8 o'clock, I'm going to use the 1 hour, and I'm going to jump back 1 hour. And 1 hour off 8 o'clock would be 7 o'clock. And the last one I've got to use is the 10 minutes. So I'm going to take 10 minutes off 7 o'clock. And 10 minutes off 7 o'clock would be 6:50. So the latest time we can leave home is 6:50 AM. In question 12, I'm shown a graph to change between miles and kilometres. So horizontally I've got miles, and vertically I've got kilometres. And in part A, I'm asked to change 3 miles into kilometres. So I'm going to find 3 miles, and then from 3, using my ruler, I'm going to draw a line up to the line on the graph. And where that crosses the line, I'm going to draw a line horizontally to meet the kilometres axis. And then I'm going to read off this value here. Now, I can see that this is 4 and this is 5, so the scale is going to be decimal in between. So it looks to me like it might go up in 0.1s, but I would check. 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, 5. So it did work, and this is 4.8. So my answer to part A is 4.8 kilometres. Now, for part B, I'm asked to change 60 kilometres into miles. Now from looking at my kilometres axis, I can see that it only goes up to 8, but it does have on it 6 kilometres here. So I'm going to work out what 6 kilometres is. So again, using my ruler, I'm going to draw a line across to the graph, being as accurate as I can. And where that meets the graph, I'm going to draw a line down. Now, I might be a little bit out here using a marker, but I'm going to read off this value here. And again, I'm going to check what the scale goes up in. And I can see that it's the same as the vertical scale, so this is going up in 0.1s, so this is 3.8 miles. So I know that 6 kilometres is 3.8 miles. Now I don't want 6 kilometres, I want 60 kilometres. And 60 kilometres is going to be 10 lots of 6. So I'm going to do 10 lots of 3.8. Now 10 lots of 3.8 is going to be 38, so that's going to be 38 miles. Now if you're not sure of that multiplication, again on your calculator, 3.8 times by 10 is 38. On question 13, I'm told that Kaz rolled the dice 10 times, and I'm given the scores here. And I'm asked to find the mode, and the mode is the most common. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write these numbers out in order. So, I've got a 1, and that's that one crossed off, and then I've got a 2, and then another 2, and then I've got a 3, and another 3, and then a 4, and then another 4, and then another 4, and then a 5, and then a 6. And I've lined them up underneath so you can see I haven't lost any numbers. Now from looking at that, I can see straight away that I have got these 3 4s here. So the most common number is a 4. In part B, I'm asked to work out the mean. And to work out the mean, I know that I have to add them all up and divide by how many. So I'm going to add them all up. So 1, add 2, add 2. Continue going. And I can do that on my calculator. So 1, add 2, add 2, add 3, add 3, add 4, add 4, add 4, add 5, add 6. And that equals 34. And then I divide that by how many there are. 34 divided by how many there are. And I'm told in the question there are 10, or I could count each number. So 34 divided by 10 is 3.4. Now you can do this question in one go on your calculator, however you will need to remember to put brackets at the start before you do the addition. And then close the brackets to make sure that your calculator adds all of those up and then divides by 10. And then you'll get 3.4. If you don't, then you simply do 1, add 2, add 2. And then divide by 10. Your calculator thinks it wants to do the 6 divided by 10 first. And I'm going to get an answer of 31.6, which it obviously doesn't represent this set of 10 numbers that range from 1 to 6. In part C, I'm asked to work out the range. And the range is the biggest number, take the smallest number. So the biggest number is 6, and I can see that in my list here. The smallest number is 1. 6 take 1 will be 5. In question 14, I'm told that p equals 3.5x, take away y, and I'm asked to work out the value of p when x equals 12 and y equals 5. So I'm going to write my formula down. P equals 3.5 times by x, and I'm told that x is 12. And I want to take away from that my y value of 5. So I've got a calculator so I can work that out. 3.5 times 12, take away 5. And that's 37. So my answer for P would be 37. In part B, I'm told to work out the value of P when x equals -9 and y equals -6. So again, P equals 3.5 times by -9, take away -6. And it's important that I put both these signs in here. And again, on a calculator exam, I can use my calculator, provided I know how to use the negative button. So 3.5 times by, and on this calculator, the negative button is there, 9. And then I want to take away -6. And notice it puts the negative in brackets. And I get -25.5. On question 15, I'm shown some patterns made from grey tiles, and I'm asked in part A to draw pattern number 4 on the grid. Now I can see from each pattern that the number of grey tiles is increasing by 1 along the top, and the number of white tiles is increasing by 1 in the middle. So it is a case of drawing this pattern as best I can in the space provided. So along the top and along the bottom, I should have 4 grey tiles. So I'm going to try and add those on now. And I'm going to colour in the grey tiles. So this should be what my diagram looks like. Obviously, you can make yours a little bit neater with a ruler. In part B, I'm asked how many grey tiles are needed for pattern number 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little table, and I'm going to go pattern number on the top, and I'm going to have the tiles on the bottom. So my pattern number needs to go from 1 to 10. And in the first pattern, I've got 4 grey tiles. And in the second pattern, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in the second one, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And in the third one, if I counted here, I would see that I've got 13. Now from that, I can tell that my pattern is going up in 3s each time. So I'm just going to continue that. 13 will go to 16, and then to 19, and then to 22, 25, 28, and then 31. So the 10th pattern here has got 31 grey tiles. In 15C, I'm told that Jenny says she'll need exactly 46 grey tiles for pattern number 18. And I'm asked to say whether Jenny is right and give a reason. So I've got a number of options here. I could keep this table going, and I could work out pattern number 11 and pattern number 12, and then work out how many tiles I would need for pattern number 18. Another approach would be to work out my nth term. So my nth term is going to be what my sequence goes up in, which is 3, so that's going to be the 3 times table. And if I wrote the 3 times table next to my sequence, write it in there, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and so on, I should be able to see that to get from my 3 times table to the sequence, I need to add on 1. So my nth term is 3n, add 1. And therefore, the 18th term, when n is 18, is going to be 3 times by 18, add 1. And 3 times by 18 is going to be 54, add 1 is going to be 55. And again, if you're not sure, you can do 3 times by 18, add 1 on your calculator. So I've shown that there are 55 tiles in pattern number 18, so I would write that down. 55 tiles in pattern 18, so Jenny is wrong, making sure I answer the question. Now if you don't like that, you can of course carry this table on, and again, if I did that in the space here, I would need to go pattern number 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, and then add in 31 add 3 will be 34, add another 3 will be 37, and continue that, and I'm going to get the same answer, 55 tiles, that I got here. On question 16, Michael writes down 4 different factors of 60. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find all the factors of 60, and to do that I need to work out what numbers will multiply together to give me 60. So the first one is 1 times 60, then 2 times 30 works, 3 times 20, 4 times by 15, 5 times by 12, and 6 times by 10. I could try 7, but if I go through my 7 times table I won't get to 60. Similarly, I could try 8. If I try 8 I won't get to 60, and I can try 9, but again my 9 times table won't go to 60, and then I can stop there because I've already tried 10 and all the numbers above it that work. So I've now got all the factors of 60, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 15, 20, 30 and 60. I'm now going to add the 4 factors together. So I need to pick 4 factors to add together, and they have to add up to a total greater than 20 but less than 35. So any of these 4 factors that adds up to more than 20 and less than 35. So if I pick 20 as one of my factors, I'm going to write that here, and then I'm going to pick 3 more factors that won't take me past 35. So the 3 smallest factors after that are 3, 2 and 1. So I'm going to put 1, 2 and 3, and if I add them up, 1, add 2, add 3, add 20, I get 26, and therefore more than 20 and less than 35. In question 17, I'm shown a couple of pie charts that compare the medals won by Germany in this pie chart here with the medals won by the Russian Federation at the 2010 Winter Olympics. And in part A, I'm told that Germany won 7 bronze medals. So 7 bronze medals, I'm going to find that section on my pie chart, and that is 84 degrees. So 7 medals is equal to 84 degrees. And in the question I'm asked how many gold medals did Germany win, and gold medals for Germany is this part of my pie chart here, which is 120 degrees. So if I need to work out what 120 degrees is, and I know what 84 degrees is. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work out what 1 medal is. Well, 1 medal must be these 7 medals shared between 7 people. So 7 divided by 7 would get me 1. So if I'm going to divide this side by 7, I'm also going to divide this side by 7. So 84 divided by 7. Now, I'm going to do that with a bus stop. So 7 into 8 goes 1, remainder 1, and 7 into 14 is 2. So 1 medal will be worth 12 degrees. And then I'm going to work out how many 12s go into 120. Well, that's an easy one. I can see that there are 10 12s in 120. So I'm timesing this side by 10, so I'm going to times this side by 10 as well. So 1 medal times by 10 will be 10 medals. Now obviously I could have done this bit here on my calculator to save me having to do it with the bus stop, so 84 divided by 7, 12 as well. In part B, I'm told that Graham says the pie charts show that Germany won more gold medals than the Russian Federation. So the pie chart shows that Germany had a section with 120 degrees in, which I happen to know is 10 medals from part A, and the Russian Federation have a section with 72 degrees in, also gold medals. However, I can't tell how many gold medals the Russian Federation won, and therefore I can't work out what proportion of that gold would be. So Graham is actually wrong, and the reason is I have no idea how many medals are represented by the Russian Federation pie chart. which is another way of saying that although this pie chart I can work out that there are 10 gold medals here and that there are 7 bronze medals here, and then I could work out how many silver medals there were by doing something similar to this, I have no idea how many medals are represented by the gold section, or the silver, or the bronze. On question 18, I'm told that Sue has a bag of 18 sweets, and that 5 of the sweets are blue, 7 of the sweets are red, and that 6 of the sweets are green. And then I'm asked to write down, in part I, the probability that she takes a red sweet. Well, there are 7 red sweets out of 18 sweets in total, so my probability will be 7 over 18. In part II, I'm asked to work out the probability that she does not take a green sweet. So if she isn't taking a green sweet, she must be taking either the 5 blue sweets or the 7 red sweets. And 5 add 7 would be 12. So my probability is 12, again out of 18. And in part III, I'm asked to work out the probability that she takes a yellow sweet. Now there are no yellow sweets in the bag at all, so that would be a probability of 0. Notice that it isn't 0 over 18. If I write that, I'm going to lose that mark. In question 19, in part A, I'm asked to solve b take away 7 equals 12. So I'm going to take both sides of that equation, and I'm going to add 7 to them. And if I add 7 to both sides, on this left hand side I'm going to get b, and on the right hand side I'm going to get 12 add 7, which is 19. So b was equal to 19. In part B, I'm told that 5e equals 40, and again I'm trying to work out the value of e. So 5e is 5 times e is equal to 40. So I'm going to try and get rid of this times 5, and then I'll be able to work out what e is. So I'm going to divide that side by 5. So I'm going to divide this side by 5. So this side divided by 5 would just leave me with the e, and 40 divided by 5 would be 8. So e is equal to 8. And finally, in part C, I'm told that 4m add 6 equals 15. So 4 times by m add 6 equals 15. So the first thing I'm going to get rid of is I'm going to get rid of this add 6. I want to find out what just 4 times by m is equal to. So I'm going to take away 6 from both sides. And that will then leave me with what 4 times by m is equal to. So 15 takes 6 is 9. So 4 lots of m is equal to 9. And again, I don't want 4 lots of m. I want to know what just 1 lot of m is. So I'm going to divide this side by 4. And I'm going to divide this side by 4. And if I do that, I'm going to find out what m is. So m is equal to 9 divided by 4. Now, I'm not going to write like that. I'm going to write it as a fraction. So I'm going to be m is equal to 9 divided by 4. And that's what I'm going to write down here. Now you can, if you want, work this out, which would be 2.25. But I prefer to use 9 divided by 4, and then I won't make a mistake. On question 20, I'm told that Rani has 250 DVDs, and that 42% of her DVDs are thrillers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work out what 42% of 250 is. And to do that, I'm going to find what 10% is. So 10% is equal to 250 divided by 10, which would be 25. And therefore I'm going to work out 40% by doing 4 lots of that 25. So I'm going to do 4 lots of the 10%, and that will get me what 40% is. So 4 lots of 25 is going to be 100. So 40% is 100. Now I'm going to work out what the 2% is. Well, 1% is going to be the 10% here split into a further 10 parts. So that's going to be 25 divided by 10 again, which is going to be 2.5. Or, in this case, you could, as with all percentage questions, find 1% by doing the original amount 250 divided by 100. Either way, I'm going to get a 1% of 2.5. Once I know what 1% is, I can work out 2% by working 2 lots of this out. So I'm going to times by 2 here, so I'm going to times by 2 here. So 2.5 times by 2 is equal to 5. So my 42% is equal to my 40% and my 2% added together. So 100 add 5 would be 105. That's the first part of the question taken care of. Second part of the question says 2/5 of our DVDs are comedies. So I want 2/5 of 250. Okay, so 1/5 of 250 is equal to 250 split into 5 equal parts. So 250 divided by 5 is 50, and that's 1/5. Now if I want 2/5 of 250, I'm going to want to take this amount and times it by 2. Because 2/5 will be double 1/5. So 50 times by 2 will equal 100. So 2/5 of 250 is 100. That's that part of the question taken care of. Finally, I'm told the rest of the DVDs are science fiction, and I'm asked to work out how many are science fiction. Well, I'm going to take the two numbers I've got here, 105 are thrillers, 100 are comedies, and I'm going to add them up. So 105 add 100 gets me 205, and therefore the remainder of her DVDs are going to be science fiction. So I'm going to do 250, take away 205, and I'm going to get 45. Now, as this is a calculator paper, I could have done all of this much quicker if I'd used my calculator and done 42% is 0.42 as a decimal, and if I multiply, which is the same as of, by 250, I'm going to get 105, and that's this number I've acquired here. And similarly, I could use my calculator to work out this piece. So I want 1/5 of 250, so I'm going to do 250 divided by 5. There's my 1/5, my 50. And if I want 2/5, I can times by 2, and that's 100. So we've shown how to do it without a calculator and also with a calculator. On question 21, I'm asked to draw the graph of y equals 3x take away 2 for x values from -1 to 3. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to construct a table of values, and my x values are going to go along the top, so -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And I need to know to work out y, 3 lots of x, so I'm going to work out 3 lots of x. So 3 lots of x, I'm going to start at the right hand side, so 3 lots of 3 would be 9, 3 lots of 2 would be 6, 3 lots of 1 would be 3, and I can see I'm working down in 3, so 3 lots of 0 would be 0, 3 lots of -1 would be -3. And then once I've done 3 lots of x, I need to take away 2 from all of those values, so I'm going to take away 2 from all those values, so I'm just going to write that along here to remind me. And if I do that, at the end of it, I'll end up with y. So my y value will be equal to 3 lots of x take away 2. So I'm going to do these values here, and that will work out my y coordinate. So 9 take 2, just these two, is 7. 6 take 2 is 4. 3 take 2 is 1. 0 take away 2 is -2. And -3 take away 2 would be -5. And if we get a bit stuck with the negative numbers, just follow the pattern from the positive numbers. So 7 to 4, I'm taking away 3. 4 to 1, I'm taking away 3. And I can just follow that pattern on, taking away 3 each time to get these numbers. And what I've got now is some coordinates to plot. So when x is 3, y is 7. When x is 2, y is 4. And I can go and write all of those as coordinate pairs. So 1, 1, 0, -2, and -1, -5. So all I've got to do is plot these points on this graph. Now, be careful with the scale, it goes up in 1 across would be 2 squares, and another one would be to 2, and another set of 2 squares would be to 3. But going vertically, it's going up 1 square is 1 unit. So 3, 7, I'm going to go to my graph and go across to 3 here, not 3 squares here, across to 3, and then up to 7, using the scale, not the squares. And that's that point plotted. And then I'm going to go through the rest of the points. So across to 2 and up to 4, making sure I'm not using the squares, I'm using the scale. 1, 1, 0, -2, and -1, -5. And I've got all of my points there, and all I've got to do now is join a line going through all of them. On question 22, I'm told that Pat and Julie share some money in the ratio of 2 to 5. So Pat gets 2 and Julie gets 5. And I'm told that Julie gets £45 more than Pat. So at this point, Julie, take away Pat, is £3. So at the moment, Julie is getting £3 more than Pat with just this initial ratio. And I want to find out what ratio will give me Julie getting £45 more than Pat. So Julie more than Pat of 45, I need to figure out how I'm going to get from this value 3 to 45. Now, I know that that's times 15. However, on your calculator, we can do that as 45 divided by 3 equals 15. If you wanted to, you could write that down here. 45 divided by 3 equals 15. So I now know that I'm going to times my ratio by 15. So I'm going to times this side by 15. So 15 times by 2 would be 30. And 15 times by 5, well, for one, I can do that on the calculator. So 15 times by 5 is 75. And I can see that 75 is £45 more than 30. And then all I've got to do is make sure I answer the question, which is how much money did Pat get? So Pat got £30. On question 23, I'm told that potatoes cost £9 for a 12.5 kilogram bag at a farm shop. So at a farm shop, it's £9, and that's for 12.5 kilograms. And then I'm also told that at a supermarket, the same type of potatoes cost £1.83 for a bag of 2.5 kilograms. And I'm asked to work out which is the better value. Now, there are a few ways to do this question. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and work out for the same amount. So I'm going to try and get these two amounts here, 2.5 kilograms, comparable to the 12.5 kilograms. So I'm going to go through 2.5, and then 5, and then 7.5, and then 10, and then 12.5. So I can see that if I purchase 5 lots of the potatoes from the supermarket, I'm going to get up to 12.5 kilograms. So I'm going to do £1.83 times by 5, and I can work that out on my calculator. So 1.83 times by 5 is equal to 9.15. So that is £9.15. So £9 at the farm shop for 12.5 kilograms, or £9.15 at the supermarket for 12.5 kilograms. So the better value would be the farm shop. Now, as this is a calculator paper, there is another way of doing this question. I could work out how much I get per kilogram. So if I take this amount and divide by 12.5, and I take the amount in pounds and divide by 12.5, I'm going to work out how much it's going to cost me for 1 kilogram. So if I do £9 divided by 12.5, I'm going to get that 1 kilogram costs £0.72. And if you prefer, that's 72 pence. Similarly, if I do that for the supermarket, I can see that I'm going to have to divide both sides by 2.5, and that will tell me what 1 kilogram costs at the supermarket. So again, 1.83 divided by 2.5, and I get 0.732. And again, that's in pounds, and that will be 73.2 pence. And again, I can see from that that it is cheaper to buy 1 kilogram at 72p from the farm shop than it is to buy 1 kilogram at 73.2p from the supermarket. Same answer, just a different method. On question 24a, I'm asked to reflect triangle A in the x-axis. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure I get the right axis. So the x-axis is this one here. So I'm going to draw on my line of reflection. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to count squares. So this point here is 1 square away from the axis. So when it's reflected, it's going to go there. And similarly, this point here is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares away from the axis. So when it's reflected, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 squares away up to there. And finally, the last point is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 away from the axis. And when it's reflected, 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll be the same distance away. So now I've got all 3 corners of my triangle. I can draw that on. And that's where my triangle will be reflected to. Obviously, in the exam, you would use a ruler. In part B, I'm asked to draw an enlargement, scale factor 3, of the shape B. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on the length of my side. So this is 2 squares, this is 3, this is 1, this is 2, 1 here, and 1 there. So what I need to do is use my scale factor of 3 with all of these distances. So 1 times by 3 is equal to 3, 2 times by 3 is equal to 6, and 3 times by 3 is equal to 9. So I need to draw a shape with sides of length 9, 6, and 3. So I'm going to give myself plenty of space to do this. So I'm going to start my shape at this point here. And the first side going up, that's 2, multiplied by a scale factor of 3 would be 6. So I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the first side going vertically. And then along, instead of being 1 square, it will be 3 squares. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to continue working out the new length of the side. So this would be 3, 1, 2, 3. This, rather than being 2, would be 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This, instead of being 1, would be 3, 1, 2, 3. And finally, this side, just to check, instead of being 3, it should be 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've now got all the right points, I just have to join them up. And I'm going to do that with a ruler. It's important I could have started this shape anywhere, but it does need to fit on the grid. You don't need to start up here and end up drawing a shape that's off the grid. On question 25, I'm told that Linda is going on holiday to the Czech Republic, and she needs to change some money into Corona. And she can only change her money into 100 Corona notes. So at the end of this, she's only going to have multiples of 100. She only wants to change up to £200 into Corona, so maximum amount is £200. She might change less than that, but that's the maximum. And she wants to get as many 100 Corona notes as possible. And then I'm given the exchange rate here of £1 is equal to 25.82 Corona. So £1 is equal to 25.82 Corona. So assuming that she changed all of the £200, she would have 200 lots of £1. So I would multiply both sides by 200. So £200 would be, in Corona, 25.82 times by 200. And I'd get 5,164. So I've done 25.82 times by 200, and I've got 5,164 Corona. Now, she can only have 100 Corona notes, so I need to consider this number on a number line. 5,100, 5,200, and in the middle I've got 5,150. Now 5,164 is somewhere around there, so it would round to 5,200. However, she doesn't have enough to get 5,200, so the most that she can get is 5,100. So she's going to get 5,100 Corona. Now the question asks how many 100 Corona notes will she get. So not how many Corona, but how many 100 Corona notes. So the number of notes will be 5,100 divided by 100. And I can do that on a calculator if I need to. 5,100 divided by 100 is going to give me 51. So she can get 51 100 koruna notes. In part B, I'm told that Linda buys a meal in the Czech Republic and it costs 400 koruna, and I need to work out the cost of the meal in pounds. So £1 is 25.82 koruna, and I want to know what 400 koruna is. So 400 koruna is what I'm looking to achieve. Well, the first thing I need to do is find out what 1 koruna is. And to do that, I'm going to take my 25.82 koruna and divide it by 25.82, and that will give me what 1 koruna is. And then obviously on this side, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to divide by 25.82. So if I do 1 divided by 25.82, I'm going to find out what 1 koruna is. So 1 divided by 25.82 is 0.038729666. So big number to write in there. In your exam, you'd have a little bit more space. I want to know what 1 koruna is. I'm going to work out what 400 koruna is by timesing by 400. So I'm going to take this answer here, which I've got stored on my calculator, and I'm going to multiply it by 400. So I'm going to be doing 0.038729666 multiplied by 400. And my calculator has got the answer, so I can just type times by 400, and I get 15.49186677. And that is the total cost of the meal in pounds and pence, and an awful lot more. So I now want to round that, so that's going to be £15, and then I've got the pence. Now in pence, this is the second digit, so I'm going to look at the 1, and the 1 is going to mean that this stays the same as a 9, so it's going to be £15.49. On question 26, I've got a scatter graph showing some information about 8 cars. Vertically, I've got the distance in kilometres it will travel on 1 litre of petrol, and that goes from 6 to 8 to 10 all the way up to 16, so it's going up in 2, so halfway will be 7, 9 and so on. Horizontally, I've got the engine size in litres going from 0 to 5. And in part A, I'm asked to state what type of correlation is shown in the scatter graph. Well, as the engine size goes up, the distance it will travel comes down, so that is negative correlation. In part B, I'm told that a different car of the same type has an engine size of 2.5 litres, so 2.5 would be there. And I'm asked to estimate the distance travelled on 1 litre of petrol by this car. So to do this, I need to draw a line of best fit on my scatter graph. Now there I've got 8 cars, so half of 8 is 4, so I need to have a line of best fit with roughly 4 either side. It doesn't have to be exact, but roughly 4. Now I think if I draw a line there, all the way across my scatter graph, that should be reasonably accurate. I've got 1, 2, 3 above, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 below. So I was a little bit off, but it will do. Now, if a car has an engine size of 2.5 litres, I need to draw a line from my engine size of 2.5 litres until I hit the graph. And then I need to draw a line across from there to the distance in kilometres. And I can see that that is 11 kilometres exactly. So that will be 11 kilometres. Now there are 2 marks for this question. It's important that you draw on these construction lines to show you're working. On question 27, I'm shown a garden in the shape of a rectangle, and I'm told that there is a patio on the left hand side here, and 2 circular ponds in the middle. And I'm told that the grass is going to be covered with fertiliser, and that 1 box will cover 25 metres squared of grass. So the first thing I need to do is work out the area of the grass. So I can see that the distance from the left to the right is 17 metres, and the distance of the patio going across is 2.8 metres. So if I subtract one from the other, I'm going to find out the distance from the grass on the left hand side to the grass on the right hand side. So I'm going to do on my calculator 17, take away 2.8, and I'm going to get 14.2 metres. So I can now work out the area of this rectangle here. which has a length of 14.2 meters and a width of 9.5 meters. So the area of the rectangle is 14.2 times by 9.5, and I'm going to leave the units off as I'm running out of space. I'll put them back in at the end. So 14.2 times by 9.5, which is 134.9 meters squared. Now, the grass doesn't cover all of this rectangle, it misses off these ponds, so I need to find the area of one of these circles. So, first of all, I know that the diameter of the circles is 3.8 meters, and therefore the radius will be half of that, so 3.8 divided by 2. And again, if you're not sure, use your calculator. 3.8 divided by 2 is 1.9. So I'm now going to work out the area of one of the circles using my formula that I've written down at the start of the exam. The area is pi times the radius squared, so pi times pi 1.9 squared. Now if I type that in on my calculator, pi, using the button up here, times pi 1.9, and then using the squared button, it'll give me the area. Now it's a very long number, I'm going to write it down, and I'm not going to round it at this stage. So that's the area of one of the circles. So now what I need is the area of two of the circles. So I'm going to take this number and I'm going to multiply it by 2. And I've got the number stored in my calculator, so I can just press times 2 and I get 22.68229896. And again, I haven't rounded it, I've written the full number down. So I've got the area of the rectangle here and the area of the two circles here. So what I need to do is subtract the smaller number from the bigger number, and I'll find the area of the grass. So the area for the grass is 134.9. Take away this whole number, 22.68229896. And then I can do that on my calculator. So 134.9 take away 22.68229896. And I get an area of grass of 112.217701 meters squared. Now the question asks, how many boxes of fertilizer does Mr. Weaver need? And I know that one box covers 25 meters squared. So I know that one box is 25 meters squared. And therefore I could say that two boxes was 50 meters squared. And then 3 boxes, and I could keep going. 75 meters squared, and 4 boxes is 100 meters squared. And therefore 5 boxes would be 125 meters squared. And at that he's got enough to cover the 112 meters squared of the grass. So he's going to need 5 boxes. Now you could of course take the area of the grass and divide it by 25, and that will tell you that he needs 4.488708042 boxes. So if I'd done that, I would have done 112.217701 and divided by 25, and it gives me this long answer of 4 and a few more numbers, 48. Now obviously he can't buy 4.48 boxes, so he has to buy 5 complete boxes, and that's the answer I'm looking for. In question 28, I'm told that Henry is thinking about having a water meter. And I'm told there are 2 ways he can pay for the water he uses. He can either have no water meter and just pay £107 a year, that's shown here, or he can get himself a water meter and the charging structure is shown here. So it's a fixed charge of £28.20, and then for every cubic meter he pays 91.22 pence, and I'm told that 1 cubic meter is 1,000 litres. And then underneath I'm told that Henry uses an average of 180 litres of water each day, and I have to work out which is the best way for him to use this amount of water. So he uses 180 litres in one day. Now this is per year, so I'm going to turn this into a year by multiplying by 365, and that's because there are 365 days in a year, and you're expected to know that. So I'm going to times 180 by 365 as well. So if I do 180 times 365. I'm going to get, on my calculator, 180 times by 365. I'm going to get 65,700. So in 1 year, he uses 65,700 litres. Now I know it's 91.22 pence for every cubic metre, so I need to turn this amount, 65,700, into cubic metres. Now I know that 1 cubic metre is 1,000 litres, so if I take this number and divide it by 1,000, that will tell me what this is in cubic metres. So 65,700 divided by 1,000 is 65.77 cubic metres. So I've done 65,700, I've divided it by 1,000, and I've got that he uses 65.7 cubic metres. Now if he's paying 91.22 pence for every cubic metre, if I do 91.22 times by 65.7, that will tell me how much he pays in terms of pence for that amount of water. So 65.7 times by 91.22 is 5,993.154 pence. I'm going to turn that into pounds. So to turn that into pounds, I've got to divide it by 100. So again, I've got the number stored, so I can just divide by 100. And I get that that is £59.93154. Now obviously this is in pounds and pence, so I need to round that, so I'm going to look at the last digit here that's pence, which is the 3, and the 1 is going to mean that that doesn't change, so rounded that is going to be £59.93 pence. Now that's what he pays for the water he uses, but he also has this charge here of £28. So his total charge is going to be the £28.20 added to the £59.93. So £28.20 add £59.93, and I get that that is £88.13. Now, looking at the cost for without a water meter, which is here, that's a charge of £107. Now, the cost with a water meter is £88.13. So I just need to answer the question and say which is cheaper. So I'm going to write down cheaper with a water meter. Now I'm not asked what the difference is, I'm just asked whether he should have a water meter. So it's cheaper with a water meter. I'm done. And that concludes the exam paper.